Welcome back to the CryptoWorld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is flashing a warning signal in the short term, while Ethereum is potentially repeating history. So I'll be talking about that later in the video, and also giving you an update on my Ethereum trade and so much more. So definitely watch to the end. First of all, just giving you a really quick update here on the daily Bitcoin chart. And once again, as I've been saying here on the channel, at least for now, the price of Bitcoin is still within the bullish trend, forming higher lows and higher highs here on the daily chart. But obviously, in the somewhat shorter term here, over the last 1 to 2 weeks, we have seen a bit of a short-term pause from that bullish trend due to this bearish divergence. And so at least as of right now, considering the fact that we have not yet seen a confirmed higher high in the daily candle closes or in the RSI, considering that is the case right now, of course, this bearish divergence is technically still active. And once again, a bearish divergence usually plays out in the form of either choppy sideways price action or potentially a bit of a pullback in the price of Bitcoin. And obviously, we have seen a lot of choppy sideways price action over the last 2 weeks or so as one of the most common outcomes from a bearish divergence. And now, even though we have seen a lot of choppy sideways price action over the last couple of weeks, once again, we have not yet broken the bullish trend on the daily time frame for the price of Bitcoin. Of course, we're still currently bullish in terms of the trend, because here in the DXY, this is still bearish in terms of the trend. And so as I've explained over and over again here on the channel, I would only start to flip more bearish again on Bitcoin in terms of the trend here on the daily time frame if we see a strong bullish reversal here in the DXY, which right now has not happened. And now, as always, it is important to understand the difference between the different time frames. For example, right now, obviously, I'm still bullish on the price of Bitcoin in terms of the trend on the daily time frame, but obviously this bullish trend on the daily chart can have some small bearish moves here and there, which if you zoom into smaller time frames like the 2-hour chart, for example, these slight bearish moves obviously look like larger bearish moves if you're looking at smaller time frames. And so it's all about perspective. Once again, it is important to understand the difference between the different time frames. So remember, on the daily chart right now, I'm still bullish in terms of the trend, but we do have a potential warning signal flashing in the short term, which I'll talk about in just a moment. But first, giving you a quick update here on the 8-hour chart. Right now, this ascending line of support is sitting at around 41.4k. And so basically, if we did end up seeing another pullback to the downside like what we saw back here, once again, I would expect a decent amount of support around that level. Basically, we should expect a bounce around that level if we see a pullback. Obviously, we don't actually have to pull back to that level, even though we have support around there. And while we're on the 8-hour chart, of course, we need to pay attention to a potential double top pattern, which is forming right now, but is not yet confirmed. Because, for example, if the price just continues further to the upside on this move right here, obviously that would mean we have no double top at all. And so due to that potential scenario, once again, we need to first confirm the double top in place in order to actually expect the double top to continue to play out. And so once again, at least for now, we have not yet confirmed the double top, but if we end up seeing a break below these lows just here, so if you're looking at the candle closes, that's sitting at around 41.1k, or if you're looking at the candle wicks, that's sitting closer towards around 40 to 40.5k, then basically if we break below these lows right here, that would confirm the double top in place. And in that more bearish scenario, if we actually confirmed below these lows right here, which obviously right now has not happened, but in that scenario, looking at a potential price target for this double top pattern, that would potentially set up a price target at around $38,000, which is also a major level of previous resistance, which should act as new support. But remember, that potential price target at around 38,000 is not yet confirmed. So we have not yet confirmed the double top in place, because once again, in order to see that play out, we need to break these lows right here. And now zooming into the shorter term, looking at the 2-hour Bitcoin chart, right now, as of recording this video, the price of Bitcoin is still currently trading within this sideways consolidation, this sideways price range right here, which I talked about recently here on the channel. And believe it or not, while the price of Bitcoin is chopping around sideways just like this, you can actually make a lot of profit very easily from price action just like this. And if you want to know how to do that, then stick around to the end of this video to find out more. And as for short-term support and resistance, first of all, we have this area of support still sitting in between around 43.1k going up towards around 43.4k, and we have this area of resistance sitting in between around 44.4k going up towards around 44.7k. And so at least right now, while the price of Bitcoin is still sitting in between that area of support and that area of resistance, basically in the immediate short term right here, I'm very neutral on the price of Bitcoin as we are in a sideways consolidation. And so I continue to expect choppy sideways price action just like this, at least over the next one day, potentially just in the short term, remember. But we do have a potential warning signal flashing right now, which is here in the 2-hour Bitcoin RSI. As you can see right here, the RSI is now trending to the downside, which is a sign of weakness. And we also have a small bearish divergence here in the short term. Obviously, the price of Bitcoin recently did actually make higher highs in the candle closes, while the RSI has been making lower highs. And the last time we saw something similar to this, of course, that happened roughly around 2 weeks ago. Obviously, the price was making slightly higher highs, while the RSI was already trending to the downside, forming lower highs and also lower lows. And so once again, back then, the RSI was also a leading indicator for the price of Bitcoin, telling us that we are looking weak, at least in the short term. This is a sign of weakness. But the bearish move was actually only confirmed once we confirmed to break below this area of support, which is the current support right now. And so once again, just to put that all together, in the immediate short term on the 2-hour chart, we're just consolidating sideways, looking very neutral, playing out choppy sideways price action, which I do continue to expect just in the immediate short term. But perhaps in a couple of days from now, sometime soon, of course, we could potentially see a break below this area of support if this RSI signal repeats like what we saw back here. Obviously, once again, the RSI telling us that we are looking somewhat weak here in the short term. But until we actually see a confirmed break below this area of support, once again, until we see that, we're still looking relatively neutral. But once we actually see a break below that area of support, obviously that is when we flip more bearish again, just in the short term on the 2-hour chart. And in that scenario, we could potentially see a drop down towards around 41.9k, or below that level, we have a lot more support down towards around 40.7k to around 41k. And once again, that area of support right there is very important for the price of Bitcoin to hold above, because like I said earlier, if we break below these lows right here, then that could potentially set in place this double top pattern. But at least for now, we're just waiting for confirmation. Of course, until we see that confirmation, we're still looking relatively neutral. But remember, all of this is still currently occurring within the bullish trend here on the daily time frame. It's just right now we've seen a little bit of a short-term pause from that bullish trend. And if you want to trade these moves in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, then personally, I take these trades over on Bybit. So I'll make sure to leave a link to Bybit in the description down below and in the pinned comment. And in fact, if you use that link down below this video to make a Bybit account, you can get up to a $30,000 deposits bonus, but only if you use that link down below this video. But for whatever reason, if you cannot access Bybit or if you cannot KYC on Bybit, there is also Bitflex, which is another crypto exchange similar to Bybit, but you don't need KYC for Bitflex. And so I'll also make sure to leave a link to Bitflex in the description down below and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link to make a Bitflex account and deposit $100 worth of crypto and to make one trade over on Bitflex, you can get 10 USDT completely for free. And so if you're trading crypto anyway, or if you're preparing to take the next trade, you might as well get set up ready to go on one of those exchanges if you want to claim those extra bonuses. Once again, use those links down below this video. But anyway, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, and right now we do have an area of liquidity sitting in between around 43.1k going up towards around 43.3k, and we also have another level of liquidity which is to the upside sitting at around 44.6k. And so basically these areas of liquidity are acting as magnets for the price of Bitcoin. Basically Bitcoin is getting attracted towards those price zones, and at the same time these areas of liquidity are acting as a bit of short-term support and resistance, which is once again confirming the fact that in the immediate short term right now we're looking relatively neutral, basically in a choppy sideways price range in between those areas of liquidity. But anyway, getting into the Ethereum part of this video, this is on the daily time frame, and just like Bitcoin, right now the price of ETH is technically still within the bullish trend on the daily chart, forming higher lows and higher highs. But obviously what we've seen over the last couple of weeks is a bearish divergence play out in the somewhat short term, resulting in a reduced bullish momentum. So basically a bit of a short-term pause from that bullish trend. And obviously we have mostly seen a lot of choppy sideways price action, which is one of the most common outcomes from a bearish divergence. And also we still have this major area of support sitting in between around 2.1k going up towards around 2150, and we also have that Fibonacci level of support at around 2150. And also, while we're here on the 8-hour time frame, there is a potential inverse head and shoulders pattern forming right now. But of course, as of right now, this is not yet confirmed. And so that would require the price of ETH to pull back further in the short term and then bounce back to the upside and break out above this level right here, sitting closer towards around 2330. And so once again, that potential inverse head and shoulders pattern is not yet confirmed. We have not yet even seen the potential right shoulder, but it is worth pointing out that pattern because once again, it is potentially forming. And speaking about patterns here on the 8-hour time frame, looking at this falling wedge pattern, which obviously over the last few days did break out to the upside, which is the most likely scenario for a falling wedge pattern. And now, technically speaking, this breakout and this pattern is still currently active, which means the technical price target is still active, which is sitting at around 2380 if you're looking at the 8-hour candle closes, or if you're looking at the candle wick, that price target is sitting at around 2.4k if you're looking at the actual high. And like I've been saying basically non-stop over the last 4 days, since all the way back down here, I've been preparing you for a breakout long position even before I took the trade. And so if you missed my last few videos here on the channel, once again, watch those videos if you want to know my short-term trading strategy when it comes to this breakout trade right here. And once again, like I showed in my last video, I did enter into that breakout long position right around the breakout. But since my last video, I have actually now closed out of that trade. As you can see right here, I actually closed a lot of that trade around this short-term high just here. And as I said in my last video here on the channel, I did take a decent amount of profits off the table around this high due to the fact that the price was running into short-term resistance. And so once again, I did explain in my last video that I already took some profits off the table as of recording my last video. But of course, since my last video, once again, I have closed the rest of that trade in huge profits, which I did update over on my Twitter. So if you want more real-time updates throughout the day, make sure to follow me over on my Twitter. And now, if we end up seeing a bit of a retest here for the falling wedge pattern, basically a short-term pullback and perhaps bounce around this entry price right here, then potentially I could be looking to re-enter into a new long position, considering as of right now, the falling wedge is not yet invalidated. But at least for now, once again, we are playing out a bit of a short-term rejection from resistance. And as I also explained in my last video, the funding rates have been very high, which is why I closed a lot of that trade just recently and now completely out of that long position. Because obviously when funding rates are high, you ideally only want to hold a long position if the price is going up, because even if the price is going sideways, you are losing money on a long position with extremely positive funding rates. And so obviously with the price just consolidating sideways at resistance and seeing an initial rejection, basically that was a short-term signal for me to close that trade. But once again, if we do end up seeing some bullish signals here in the short term, like bouncing around this previous resistance, potentially acting as new support, I could potentially enter into that new long position, which I will be sure to update here in these videos and also on my Twitter. And so make sure you subscribe to this channel with notifications turned on, which is completely for free to do. And that way you do not miss out on any of these important update videos. And as for short-term support and resistance here on the 2-hour ETH to US dollar chart, once again, we still have that area of resistance sitting in between around 2310 going up towards around 2330 approximately. And as for support, we could potentially find support at this level, which was previous resistance, sitting at closer towards around 2250. But if you want to know how you can profit from crypto, no matter if the price is going to the upside, to the downside, or simply chopping around sideways like right now, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how to make money if the price is bullish or bearish using longs and shorts, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.